Okay, so welcome to a brand new video. Now, in the previous video, I talked about how by targeting specific interest that your competitors are not targeting, that will ultimately allow you to book appointments, as you can see over here. So that was part one of this process that I'm using in order to book pretty much over 30 appointments from a Monday to a Friday. Because this is when the client is available. He's not available on the weekends, which is why you don't see any appointments booked on a Saturday or a Sunday. So in this video, I'm going to go over the actual advertisement itself and the copy that we are using. In the next video, I'll go over the creatives so you can have a better idea what creatives work in order to essentially book more calls for your agency or for whatever service that you are providing, where it is required of you to book an appointment with the potential customer in order to close the deal. So this is the advertising. Well, before I begin, let me just refresh my screen so that you know that this is legit. This is not photoshopped or anything like that. And once it finally refreshes the screen, this is the confirmation that you need that the advertisements we are running for this client is working really, really well. So obviously this is for last month, the month of February, and then so far this month we managed to book appointments pretty much every single day so far. So the next part is we go into the advertising account, and again, let me just refresh the account, or Facebook will do that for me. So I've decided to turn off this campaign only because the quality of the leads isn't the best, and we're just running ads to the landing page, which in a separate video, I will show you the landing page and ultimately how you can do something similar in order to book more appointments for your business or for your client's business. So we're going to use this particular ad set, this particular audience. I know that the cost per lead, even though the cost per lead is registered as a cost per appointment. So when an appointment is booked on the landing page, then that becomes a lead. That's basically how I've set it up. Now, I know it says $47.76, which is quite expensive, I know, but Facebook's tracking is not 100% accurate. And as you can see over here, we booked a lot more appointments than just two for the month of March. So yeah, don't worry about that. Now let me actually go into the ads, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over the ad copy that we're using and the psychology, the principle, and ultimately give you a framework that you can use in order to generate 30 plus appointments per month, like I'm currently doing for this client. So let me just go over here to the ads. We're currently running two ads. One is a video, one is an image. In a separate video, I'll go over the actual creatives and how to have a really good creative that will essentially get people to buy. Now, let me just go over here and let me click on Facebook post with comments so we can actually see the post itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over this ad copy, and through going over this ad copy, you'll be able to get ideas in terms of what you should put in your ads so you can be more successful in booking more appointments. So what I always like to begin, depending on what it is that you're selling, but most of the time you will be selling some sort of a service or even a product where you have a specific ideal customer in mind. You have someone who is going to be the ideal person to book a call and purchase your product or your service. So my first recommendation at the beginning and at the start of the ad copy, I would always recommend you call out to your target avatar, your target potential customer. Now, you don't always have to do this, but I'm just giving you a framework of what works. Now, if you don't decide to do it, it's okay. It will still work. But one thing that I've learned, which is the reason why I've turned off the lead form campaign, is it's not just about booking a ton of appointments. It's about booking appointments with the right people who are qualified, interested. They actually have the money to pay for your services. So that's the reason why at the very beginning, we call out the very specific ideal customer that we want to book a call with this client. In this case, it's going to be e-commerce store owners, not just e-commerce store owners, but e-commerce store owners who are doing at least $10,000 per month in sales or more. Does that make sense? So no matter what you are selling, make sure you make it crystal clear who is your ideal customer. If they've got to be making a certain level of revenue for them to be a customer, then make sure you put that at the very, very top, because in a Facebook advertisement, the part that customers will see is this part, because everywhere else will be blocked off, so they have to click on the see more in order to see the rest of your copy. So this is the most important part of the ad copy, or the primary text, whichever you prefer. So call out your target audience, and then the next part, I always like to ask a question, but make the question around the pain that your product or your service solves. So in this case, since we're helping e-commerce store owners with their Facebook advertising, that is why I've put a question of struggling to scale your ads profitably. So you want to make sure the question is addressing the pain, the problem that the person is currently having at this moment. Does that make sense? So that's number one, they read the first part, which qualifies them, so they know that this particular advertisement is specifically for them. For example, let's just say you do online tutoring, for example, and you help university students pass their exams in order to get a degree. So I know that with tutoring, there's so many different tutorings you can do. You can do tutoring for obviously A levels, for maths, for English, for business. So if, for example, you help university students who are doing business and essentially who want to pass business, then what I would suggest you do is make sure you put that over here and put an emoji as well, because that will grab someone's attention. So you will probably put something like attention university students or business university students. And then that's basically what I will put. Unless they have to be earning a certain amount of money, or they have a certain characteristic that you've noticed that your previous clients have, that your next clients from the advertisement should have, then put that there as well. And then you have the pain point, which could be struggling to pass your exams, or some sort of question that specifically identifies them and qualifies them as the right kind of clients that you want for your university's tutoring program for students in business, for example. But back to this example, which is doing selling advertising for e-commerce business owners. So after that, what I would do next is first you ask a question, and then you basically introduce the solution essentially. But you introduce the solution in a way that sounds different, that sounds new, that sounds unique, that's something that they haven't heard or read or seen before. So in this case, discover how I use cross-targeting, which is the topic of my previous video. If you haven't watched that, please go and watch that to understand what I mean by cross-targeting. But discover how I use cross-targeting to make $3,000 per day on my e-commerce store. So that is the promise, that is the benefit. That what we're going to show them is essentially this thing called cross-targeting that will allow them to make $3,000 per day on their e-commerce store, or what's allowed my client to make $3,000 per day on his e-commerce store. So I would make some sort of a promise. So back to the tutoring for business school students at university, you could basically put, we guarantee that we can help you pass um whatever the name of the exam is, if that makes sense. Because obviously if somebody goes to university, they're going to have to take exams. So you can make a guarantee, or you can make a promise that you will help them pass the name of the exam, if that makes sense. Obviously I'm not too sure the name, that's up to you, you are the expert, but I hope that makes sense. You want to provide some sort of a benefit associated with the pain through the question that you're asking over here. Does that make sense? So struggling to scale your ads profitably, number one, that is the pain point. And then number two, this is the benefit. Discover how I use cross-targeting. Now, the reason why I put cross-targeting, number one, is something that they never heard of before. And then number two, in copywriting, there's something called a unique mechanism. So a unique mechanism is just the method, the process, or the way, or the steps that you take in order to achieve the promise. So if you're promising somebody to essentially make $3,000 per day, how is that $3,000 made? What is the process that you use to make $3,000 per day? And that process, you give it a name, because that name in copywriting is called your mechanism. And what makes that mechanism unique is because you are the only person that is using this method, this mechanism, in comparison to all your other competitors that are advertising. Does that make sense? So, whenever you provide some sort of a benefit, I would also suggest you have a unique mechanism, a method that you use to achieve the promise, the benefit that you're providing to your potential client who you want to book a call with. That's what I would put in the next part. And then the next part is just really about adding social proof, adding credibility. So this is why I've managed, so this is for the client. I've managed over 250 ad campaigns for clients. Boom. So now that when somebody reads that, they know that they're working with, well, they know that this person is an experienced pro with Facebook advertising. That is why I've put this right here. Now, if again back to the tutoring example, you could put that we've helped over, 100 students or 150 students, 1,000 students pass their business exams or whatever. I would recommend you be more specific. Put the name of the exam, and again, relate what I am saying to your specific product or your service that you are selling. Does that make sense? So once you've qualified them, once you've asked a question that revolves around some sort of a pain that your product or your service or your client's product or service solves, then provide some sort of a benefit, ideally with some sort of unique mechanism, and that is the first part done. Then you want to quickly introduce some sort of social proof immediately so that you have credibility, and with credibility, the people who read your advertisement will believe, and that is the key, will believe the words that you are saying and will trust you in order to book a call with you. Does that make sense? So I managed over 250 ad campaigns for clients, and the number one mistake I see e-commerce stores make is targeting audiences every other store in your niche is targeting. So this goes back to the unique mechanism, cross-targeting, the cross-targeting method over here. Because what cross-targeting is, when you read the copy over here, ultimately it's targeting keywords that your competitors are targeting interest, that your competitors are targeting, and as a result, you're basically spending more on ads because there's more people competing for the exact same interest. So what I've done here is you want to provide some sort of explanation for their current failure. Let's be honest, for their inability to achieve the promise, the benefit that your product or service is providing. Because then, number one, you educated the customer, and number two, it positions you as an authority figure because you know what you are talking about. You know how to explain the customer or the client's situation better than they do. So it could be the reason why you're not succeeding in your exams is because you do not know how to answer the questions in the exam in the way that the examiner wants you to answer them. For example, so you want to provide some sort of some sort of explanation, as to why they're going through what it is that they are going through. Because again, it shows that you are an authority, you're an expert, you know what you're talking about. It builds trust, it builds more credibility with the potential client, and of course, makes them feel more comfortable in booking an appointment with you, because ultimately people want to work with other people who are experts in their field. So you want to showcase your expertise in the ad copy by giving some sort of explanation, and ideally just make it one explanation. Don't make it two, three, four. So don't be like, there are three reasons why you're failing in your exam. No, even if there are three reasons, I would always present one single reason. So the reason why that you are failing in your exams is because you are not answering the questions in the exam the way that the examiner wants you to answer them. For example, and it could be anything, but make sure the explanation that you give makes sense. So don't make some rubbish explanation that doesn't make any sense, because when the potential customer or client reads the advertisement, and especially explanation, it's got to click it's got to click. It's got to be like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So that's why over here I go over the explanation as to why they're going through what they're going through. In this case, they're not generating any customers from their ads, or if they are, they're not generating customers, as you can see here, profitably, that will allow them to scale. And the reason why, and the number one, like I said, the one mistake, not two or three, but the one single mistake that they're making is the fact that they're targeting audiences that every other e-commerce store business in their niche is targeting. And then what I would recommend you do is you go over the pain. So you list off what is the problem that is created from their current way of doing things. So, for example, if they're trying to lose weight, obviously, so this is a completely different product that you're selling. So, if you're selling something weight loss related, if they're trying to lose weight, the reason why they're not being succeeding in trying to lose weight, let's be honest, it's the food that they're eating. They're eating too much junk food. But of course, the way that I would use that in ad copy is I would say you're eating foods that have, high calories or not the nutrition that you have. Obviously, you can tell that I'm not an expert in weight loss, but I hope you get the idea. You want to explain what they are going through, but as you are explaining, you also want to provide the problems that is created from what they're currently doing. So in this case, what I know is that e-commerce store owners, especially when it comes to Facebook ads, are targeting interest that other that their competitors, other e-commerce business owners are targeting. Now, the problem with this is your CPMs cost you more, you're getting less clicks, and as a result, you're paying more to get a customer every day. You see what I mean? I'm listing off the problems that are created from their current way of doing things. And again, you do the same for yourself. Once you've done that, you've given your explanation, then you want to essentially, one way or the other, you want to say that your product, your service, your unique mechanism can fix their current issue, their current circumstance in 30 minutes, in 1 hour, instantly, however long it takes for your product or service to solve their problem, for example. So that's why I put, but we can fix this in 30 minutes using the unique mechanism, which is the cross-targeting method. And then this is, now I'm going over what the cross-targeting method is and why the cross-targeting method is completely different from anything they've tried before. Because when you're advertising, when you're marketing, especially when you're advertising something that your customer has seen 100 different times, like Facebook advertising. So what you want to do is you want to explain their failure in a way that kind of justifies why they haven't succeeded before. So in this case, I'm saying that the reason why they haven't succeeded in Facebook advertising before is because they're using the targeting interest that their competitors are targeting. So that is why they need the cross-targeting method, so that they can target audiences that your competitors are not targeting. Do you get the idea? That's basically it. And then, just like before, but from the reverse perspective, now you want to reveal the benefits of your unique mechanism. So in this case, the benefits is, which is just the reverse of what I've said here. You will get more views for less. You'll get more clicks for less. So over here, they're paying more for less, but over here, they're paying less for more. Does that make sense? So before the unique mechanism, they're struggling, they're finding it hard to be profitable, they're finding it hard to create an advertisement that is successful. But after the unique mechanism, they're finding it easier to create advertisements that works. They're getting more clicks. They're getting customers at a more affordable price, and as a result, it will allow them to scale their advertising campaign to 3,000 per day on their e-commerce store. I hope that makes sense. And then obviously I list off, essentially it's just what I put over here, but I put it as a benefit rather than as a pain or a problem. So you'll get more clicks for less. So you'll get more views for less, you'll get more clicks for less, and more sales for half the price you're currently paying now, which is what they want. These audiences are easy to find using our insider tool and takes minutes to set up. So what I've done here is, in marketing, Whenever you sell a product or a service, you want to communicate that the product or the service is easy. Even if it's hard, you want to communicate it is easy. And because that's what people want. People don't want things that are hard. Because people, especially when it comes to, back to the example of losing weight, they don't want to be spending hours and hours at the gym, you know, and when they come home, they're aching, they're hurting, even though that is the reality and that is the truth. So, whenever you are introducing your product, your service, you want to showcase that it's actually easy. And if you want to explain how it's easy, you can do that. But that's why I put that here. It's easy to find these audiences with the cross targeting method because we have an insider tool that makes it easy for us. So you want to have something that's, again, unique about your business, unique about the way that you help your customers, your client achieve the results that you are promising them that you can achieve. So in this case, we have an insider tool that nobody has that allows us to find interest that your competitors are not targeting, which will allow you to experience these benefits. Does that make sense? And you can apply this for any product or any service you are doing. Again, this is a framework that I'm giving you. Just fill in the blanks with your product or service. And then people want to know how long it takes, which is why I put it takes minutes to set up for your store. And then over here, you just want to provide more credibility over here by actual case studies of previous clients, previous students, previous customers succeeding in the benefit that you provide. So if it's losing weight, you will have essentially case studies or testimonials, results of other people who have lost weight, if that makes sense. So in this case, in just 40 hours, you'll see improvements in your ads performance and sales. Brands like, Micro Australia, Block Particle, Day Doggo, and again, it's going back to the unique mechanism called cross targeting. And then the last part, which will be we get into the call to action, and much more brands are scaling their stores effortlessly. Again, you want to make sure that whatever you are selling, it is easy, it is effortless. There's not much work that is involved. Even if there is, you want to reveal that later, but in the beginning, you want to showcase it as easy, as quick, as fast, as safe. All of these things are the reasons why people will buy your product or your service, or in this case, at least book an appointment with you. And then you always want to have a call to action. Click learn more, which is the call to action to schedule a call with us today. Click learn more to get 1 month free of your supplements. Click learn more. You get the idea basically. And then this is the image. I'll go over the creatives in the next video. But then we have the offer, which is we'll pay for your ads to prove this works for 14 days risk free. So in a separate video, I'll go over the offer. But ultimately, for the ad copy, that's what I would have. And for the headline, I would have an offer, which in a separate video, I'll go over the offer. And then that is the advertisement that we're currently using to book the advertising copy to book all of these appointments with the cross targeting that I explained in the previous video. If you haven't watched it, please give it a go because this is a process. So the first part is targeting audiences that your competitors are not targeting. The second part is the actual ad copy and how to write copy that essentially gets people to click on your ad, because the purpose of the ad is to get someone to click. It's not to sell your product or your service, it's just to get somebody to click so that they can learn more, discover more about your solution. So yeah, thank you for watching this video and I'll see you in the next one.